Well, welcome back into the garden here in the mid-Norfolk farm vegetable garden, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about this crop of Tayberries and Loganberries. These are vine fruits that are grown here in the farm on this west facing wall, and you can see how we've trained these vines in at the end of last season so that they're all on uprights against these horizontal wires, and we've limited the growth of each of these vines to around the top of the wall, which in this case is just under 6 feet. Now you'll see that these are starting to break bud now, and now's the time just to go over these and just to remove any dead wood or stems that have been damaged and maybe harbouring some disease. This is an example of a shoot that's got some dieback on it. We've got growth here in this downward stem which should fruit and flower later in the season very well, but what I would do is remove this dead section here completely at this junction. Here's another one where we've got some winter dieback, almost 2 feet before you hit the first emerging bud here. So again, this needs to be removed at this section, and if this isn't supported, this vine should be tied in against its support. If you've got any spare vines that you've missed, there's one here that's running laterally across the floor, and if they haven't rooted into the soil, which this one hasn't, this could be tied up into this area here on the wires to give you an additional fruiting spur this year. Now what's also starting to emerge from the base of these plants are these shoots that come out of the ground and the crown, and these will grow away very rapidly, sometimes to 12 or 15 feet, and these will form your vines for the next year's fruit and growth. So the vines that we've got on this, we've only got 4 coming out of this crown. These will fruit this year. Each of these bud breaks will form a lateral growth, and at the end we'll get the flowers, which will emerge in a couple of weeks, and then the fruit will form on each of these. They will be removed at the end of the season and replaced with fresh growth from the base. But you'll see in strongly established plants there may be 15 or 20 shoots, and it may be worthwhile you removing some of these which are pointing in the wrong direction at this stage to encourage the growth and strong thick growth of the 4 or 5 that you're going to retain and train against the wires for the following year's growth. Now this particular plant we're showing you is a Loganberry. It's thornless, slightly different taste to the Tayberry which is next to it, and these, as you can see on the stem, are extremely prickly and thorny. Just look at the prickles on that old stem, extremely nasty little things that break off and get into your fingers. So difficult plant to grow from a management perspective. Always need gloves when you're pruning these or picking them. Loganberry in that respect is a far better option, and the flavour and fruit very similar. One additional job to be done this time of year is to get some feed around the base of these crowns. They do grow very rapidly and they take a lot of nutrients for that, so now's the time to really reinforce that, both with a flower and fruiting promoting feed, but also one for general growth. So well rotted garden compost, bloodfish and bone, commercial, petrochemical, agrochemical fertilizers like Gromor, anything really that's going to improve the supply of nutrients around the base of these roots is going to help both with the fruiting and the growth of good strong vines for the following year's fruit. Now we have done videos on the fruit and bushes later in the season, which we'll put links to in the end of this video, and I've also done a Tayberry or Loganberry jam recipe video, which, if you've never made it, really is the most intense raspberry flavoured jam that you are ever going to come across, and is not available commercially that I'm aware anywhere, certainly in the UK. So well worth a view of that if you are interested in the possibility of putting one of these vines in your fruit collection.